For centuries, the galaxy had called out to Earth. Signals, messages, invitations, even warnings traveled across the void of space. They were sent by proud empires, old civilizations, and curious explorers. Some calls were friendly, asking for friendship. Some were arrogant, demanding surrender. Some were only whispers, hoping for an answer. But Earth never spoke back. To the galaxy, this was strange. Every world that discovered radio waves eventually shouted into the stars, desperate to know if they were alone. Every young species cried out for guidance, for connection, for help. But Earth did not. Earth stayed silent. At first, the galactic community thought Earth was primitive, still crawling in caves and burning wood for warmth. But time passed. Probes and watchers revealed that humans had reached the stars, landing on their own moon, building machines, and sending their own signals. Yet still, no answer to the galactic calls came. Why? No one could agree. Some scholars argued Earth was shy. Others believed humans never received the calls, that maybe their technology was too weak. Some darker minds whispered that humans were ignoring the galaxy on purpose. For hundreds of years, this silence became a mystery, then a joke, and finally, a ghost story told in alien academies. The silent world, they called Earth. But everything changed one single night. It began with a trembling in the deep sensors of the outer rim. A mining station orbiting a red dwarf detected movement on the edge of human space. At first, they thought it was only debris, broken ships or wandering rocks. But as their sensors adjusted, the truth became clear. It was a fleet. A fleet so large it blocked starlight behind it. Ships in formation, engines burning blue, and weapons glowing faintly like fireflies in the dark. They were not slow, clumsy ships either. They moved with precision, perfect balance, and terrifying speed. They were human ships. The galaxy froze. For the first time in history, Earth had spoken. Not with words. Not with signals. But with action. A silent world had suddenly built an armada. And that armada was leaving Earth. In the Galactic Council chamber, panic spread. Representatives of dozens of species argued at once. Some demanded immediate investigation. Some begged for patience, saying humans might simply be exploring. But the data was undeniable. This was not exploration. The size of the fleet was too massive, too organized. This was a military force. Yet how? The galaxy's greatest scientists examined the recordings. Human ships were different. They looked heavier, darker, sharper. They carried strange signatures, unknown alloys, impossible energy readings. These were not the ships of a young race. They were something else. The council's voices grew louder, angrier. One alien elder, a scaled creature with golden eyes, struck the table with his claw. "This is why they stayed silent," he hissed. "They were listening. They were building. While we wasted centuries speaking to them, they prepared in shadows." Fear spread quickly. Rumors twisted into wild theories. Some believed humans had found forgotten technology from ancient civilizations. Some claimed humans had struck a bargain with machines or darker powers. Others thought humans had simply hidden their genius until the right moment. Whatever the truth was, one fact could not be denied: Earth was no longer silent. And when Earth spoke, it spoke with warships. The first close images of the fleet reached the council. Gasps filled the chamber. The ships were colossal, larger than most galactic cruisers. Their hulls carried no symbols, no flags, no bright colors. Only black steel and harsh lights. They moved like predators in the void. The council leader, a being of crystal and light, whispered a thought that chilled everyone present. "They are not answering us. They are announcing themselves." Across the galaxy, reactions rippled. Traders canceled voyages to human space. Colonies prepared defenses. Armies moved ships into position. And yet, despite all this, no one dared to fire. Because no one understood what the humans wanted. No signal came. No demand, no threat, no greeting. Only the fleet, growing closer to the heart of the galaxy. On Earth itself, the skies were empty. Civilian channels showed no parades, no celebrations, no signs of war. The planet looked normal. Quiet cities, busy streets, peaceful oceans. But above the clouds, beyond the orbit, humanity had revealed its hidden face. And that face was steel, fire, and silence. The galaxy finally realized the truth. Silence had never been weakness. Silence had been patience. And now, the silent world was moving. Where were the humans going? What did they want? No one knew. But every star system felt the same cold fear. The quiet planet had finally spoken. And its voice shook the cosmos. The fleet of Earth kept moving through the darkness, leaving behind their homeworld without a word. For the galaxy, this was not just an event, it was a storm spreading fear and questions across every star system. The Galactic Council held emergency sessions, and for the first time in decades, every seat in the Grand Chamber was filled. The chamber itself was vast, carved from crystal and floating in the void of neutral space. Delegates from 100 species shouted over one another, their voices full of panic. Some demanded immediate war. Others argued for peace, or at least patience. The silence of Earth had always been mysterious, but now it felt like a trap. The whispers began. Why now? Why reveal their fleet now? Asked the Zorani ambassador, his body shimmering like liquid metal. They could have spoken long ago. Instead, they ignored us, and now they arrive with weapons. This is no accident. Across the chamber, a representative of the Valari, a bird-like species with sharp wings of light, replied, "Perhaps they are afraid. Perhaps they only seek protection. We must not provoke them." But her words carried no weight. The images of human ships had already spread across the stars. Every trader, every soldier, every colony had seen the massive black hulls cutting through the void. They did not look like explorers. They looked like conquerors. In the private halls beyond the chamber, the real discussions took place. Spies, generals, and advisors whispered plans to each other. Some wanted to send more fleets to watch the humans. Some wanted assassins, sabotage, anything to slow them down. Yet there was fear in every voice. What if humans were stronger than anyone imagined? What if attacking them meant destruction? The council ordered a scout fleet to intercept the humans. It was a small force, built for speed, not war. Their mission was simple: make contact, ask questions, and return with answers. But even as the order was given, doubts lingered. Would humans respond to diplomacy? Or would silence turn into fire? News traveled fast, and across the galaxy, ordinary people spoke of nothing else. In mining colonies, workers gathered around screens to watch grainy images of the human fleet. In academic halls, students whispered theories about Earth's hidden technology. In military bases, commanders gave speeches about courage, but fear was written on their faces. In markets and stations, merchants argued over whether to stop trading routes near human space. Everyone asked the same question: what did humans want? Theories grew wilder each day. Some claimed humans had discovered a vault of ancient technology buried beneath their oceans. Others believed humans had allied with machines, creating intelligence beyond comprehension. A darker rumor spread too, one that chilled even the bravest hearts. Humans had not answered the galaxy because they were not interested in friendship. They had been listening, recording, and preparing for domination. While we spoke, they studied us, whispered one alien captain. Every signal we sent, they saved. Every word we said, they learned. They know us better than we know ourselves. In the council chamber, fear hardened into action. The scout fleet departed under heavy silence, every crew member aware that they might not return. Their ships slipped into the void, engines burning bright, heading straight toward the human armada. When they finally reached the edge of the human formation, the size of the fleet became clear. The humans had not sent a handful of ships. They had sent hundreds. The scout captain, a calm veteran of many wars, opened a channel. His words were polite, firm, respectful. "This is the Galactic Council. We welcome you. We ask only for your purpose." For a long moment, nothing happened. The silence stretched, pressing against every crew member like a heavy weight. Then, at last, a human voice replied. The voice was calm, clear, and carried no fear. "We heard your calls. We chose silence. Now, you will hear us." Those words spread like fire through the galaxy. The scout crew reported back instantly, but their message only deepened the mystery. The humans had spoken, yes, but they had explained nothing. No reason, no goal, no demands. Only a warning, or perhaps a promise. The council was thrown into chaos again. Some said it was proof humans were hostile. Others argued it was a test, a chance to prove the galaxy's strength or weakness. The whispers grew louder. In the shadows of the chamber, one old scholar spoke words no one wished to hear. "We thought Earth was silent because it was weak. But what if Earth was silent because it was strong? What if all these centuries they prepared not for peace, but for something else?" His words chilled the air. Silence followed in the chamber. For the first time, the galaxy felt small, fragile, and uncertain. The humans were coming, and no one knew why. In the far corners of space, children asked their parents about the silent world. On distant stations, soldiers looked to their leaders for orders. And in the heart of the galaxy, the whispers became fear, and fear became prophecy. Earth was no longer a mystery. Earth was a storm. The scout fleet drifted carefully near the human armada, engines burning low to avoid provoking any reaction. Their captains kept their voices steady, but inside their hearts trembled. They had faced pirate lords, raider swarms, even war with rival empires, but this silence felt heavier than any battlefield. The humans had spoken once, but they had offered no answer, no reason, no demand. Only the chilling words, "Now, you will hear us." What did that mean? The question echoed in every alien mind. The lead scout ship, the Council's flagship in this mission, moved closer. Its sensors scanned the nearest human cruiser. The results were impossible. The ship's armor was thicker than anything known. The energy readings burned brighter than suns. The weapons detected along its hull were strange, not matching any design in galactic archives. It was as if the humans had skipped centuries of progress and arrived at the edge of impossible science. The scout captain, a veteran named Saren, tried again. "Humans of Earth, we mean no harm. We request dialogue. We wish to understand your purpose. Where are you going? What do you want?" The comms fell silent once more. Every second felt like a blade against the skin. The alien crew watched the human ships, waiting for movement, for fire, for anything. Then, without warning, one of the massive human cruisers shifted course and moved toward the scouts. Its sheer size blotted out the stars behind it, its black steel frame glowing faintly with strange blue lines. It came closer, closer, until the scout fleet felt like insects before a giant. Then the voice returned. A human, male, calm and steady. "You want to know where we are going," he said. "You want to know why we are here. Listen well. We are not children. We are not blind. We heard your calls, your signals, your arguments. We listened. We watched. And we chose silence. Because silence is survival." The word spread across every channel, translated into every language by the Council systems. Crews on distant stations, soldiers on the edges of colonies, citizens in marketplaces, all heard the human voice at once. A chill gripped them. Saren spoke carefully. "We do not understand. Survival? From what?" For a moment, the human said nothing. Then, the cruiser powered its weapons. Not toward the scouts, but toward empty space. Beams of energy tore through the void, splitting asteroids into dust, bending light itself. The weapons were not just powerful, they were elegant, controlled, beyond anything the galaxy had ever built. The scouts panicked. This was not a show of weakness. It was a demonstration. "You survive," the human voice continued. by knowing when to speak and when to be silent. You spoke too much. You exposed yourselves. We stayed quiet. We prepared. Before Saren could answer, alarms screamed. The scout fleet systems detected targeting locks. Human ships were pointing weapons directly at them. The crew froze. This was it. War, death, annihilation. But then the human voice came again. We do not seek your destruction. But you must understand, our path is not yours. Stand in our way, and you will fall. Leave us be, and you may live to see what comes. The humans broke contact. The cruiser turned back into formation, rejoining the armada as if nothing had happened. The scouts were left trembling in the dark. Saren exhaled slowly, his hands shaking. He sent the report to the council, knowing the galaxy would erupt with fear. And it did. The message spread like wildfire. The humans had demonstrated weapons far beyond the known scale. They had spoken with cold certainty, warning the galaxy to stay away. Reactions were immediate and chaotic. On the world of Vera, crowds filled the streets, demanding war against Earth before it was too late. On the station of Lyrios, merchants closed markets, fearing trade collapse. In the military academies of the Rovan Empire, young cadets cheered at the idea of fighting humans, blind to the terror in their teachers' eyes. In the council chamber, leaders argued until their voices broke. Some demanded a full alliance of all species, to crush humanity before it grew stronger. Others begged for peace, for patience, saying perhaps humans only sought safety. But under every word, fear trembled. They all knew the truth. Humanity had made first contact on its own terms. And those terms were silence, power, and warning. Still, one question burned brightest of all. Where was the human fleet going? Their course was clear. They were not wandering, not patrolling. They had a destination, deep in the galaxy. But no one could guess what it was. Some thought they aimed for the council itself, ready to strike at the heart of galactic politics. Others believed they were hunting some enemy unknown. Whatever the answer, it remained hidden behind the black hulls and cold voices of Earth's children. The whispers returned, louder now. The galaxy had wanted contact with Earth. Now they had it. And they wished they had never asked. The council could not remain silent anymore. After the humans' warning, fear turned into desperation. Every empire knew that if humanity's fleet continued deeper into the galaxy without resistance, then nothing would stop them later. Plans were made in secret chambers, words whispered behind closed doors, and in the end, one decision was taken. A combined fleet, made from several species, would intercept the humans. It was not the full power of the galaxy, but it was strong enough to test humanity's strength. Hundreds of warships left their stations, armed with plasma cannons, ion disruptors, and shields forged by centuries of war. They were experienced, disciplined, and confident. The commanders told themselves, humans are new. They cannot match us. Yet beneath their courage, fear remained. The two fleets met in the cold void between stars. The alien armada spread wide, a shining wall of colors, banners, and weapons. Their commanders broadcasted one final message. Humans of Earth, this is your last chance. Turn back, or be destroyed. The human response came quickly, calm and merciless. We warned you. Stand aside, or face silence. Then the clash began. Alien ships fired first, beams of light ripping through the void, missiles streaking toward the black steel of the human fleet. Explosions lit the darkness, and the war began. But what happened next shocked the galaxy. Human ships did not scatter. They did not retreat. They moved as one, like parts of a single machine. Every alien shot that landed was absorbed by shimmering barriers of energy, shields unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human weapons fired in return, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Beams of compressed energy sliced through cruisers, missiles detonated with precision, and enemy ships were destroyed in seconds. It was not just the power of their weapons. It was their coordination. The humans fought with terrifying unity. Their ships moved in formations tighter than any fleet had managed before. Every strike was timed, every maneuver perfect, as if one mind controlled them all. The alien commanders realized too late that the humans were not fighting like individuals. They were fighting like a single entity. A Rovari battleship tried to flank the human line, diving into the shadows of asteroids. Before it could fire, 3 human destroyers moved in perfect formation, surrounding it, striking all at once. The battleship exploded into burning fragments. A Valari carrier launched squadrons of fighters, but human drones intercepted them instantly. They were not piloted by individuals but by an artificial intelligence that reacted faster than any living pilot. The fighters were shredded within moments. Panic spread through the alien ranks. Their fleet had numbers, experience, and centuries of strategy, yet it crumbled like glass against a storm. In the council chamber, leaders watched live feeds with horror. Entire crews screamed as human weapons tore through their ships. The battle was not a fight. It was a demonstration. After only an hour, half the alien fleet was gone. The survivors tried to retreat, but the humans allowed it. They did not chase, did not slaughter every ship. They simply stopped, their formation holding steady, their silence louder than any threat. One human voice broke through the comms once more, echoing across the galaxy. "You tested us. Now you know. We will not ask again. Stand in our way, and you will fall." The message ended, and the human fleet resumed its march, moving deeper into the galaxy as if nothing had happened. The survivors limped back to their homeworlds, broken and terrified. The whispers grew louder than ever before. The galaxy had seen wars, but never like this. Never so swift, so precise, so merciless. How had humans achieved such power? How had they turned silence into strength? In taverns and markets, ordinary people spoke of the battle with awe. "They fight like gods," some said. "No, worse," others replied. "They fight like machines wearing human faces." Generals studied the footage, but no weakness could be found. Every maneuver seemed flawless. Every strike was devastating. Scholars began to theorize that humans had built an intelligence greater than any mind in the galaxy, one that controlled their fleets with inhuman precision. But if that was true, then who was really commanding? Humans, or something else? In the council, silence fell heavier than ever. They had tried force and failed. The silent world had answered with fire, and the galaxy now understood the cost of defiance. Yet still, the greatest mystery remained. Where was the human fleet going? It did not pause to conquer worlds. It did not demand surrender or tribute. It simply pressed forward, deeper and deeper into the stars. A chilling thought spread among the leaders. Perhaps the humans were not coming for the galaxy at all. Perhaps they were heading for something far worse, something that even the galaxy itself had forgotten. And if that was true, then Earth had not been silent out of arrogance. Earth had been silent out of necessity. The galaxy could not sleep. Across thousands of worlds, the same question echoed again and again. How had Earth done this? How had a world that ignored every call, a people who never answered a single signal, suddenly unleashed a fleet more powerful than anything in living memory? In the council chamber, leaders demanded answers. Scientists worked day and night, searching through centuries of intercepted transmissions, old records, and every fragment of human communication ever gathered. At first, there seemed to be no logic. Humanity had been quiet, too quiet, for far too long. But then the truth began to emerge, piece by piece, like a puzzle slowly falling into place. The humans had not been deaf. They had been listening. Every message sent to Earth, every warning, every offer of alliance or threat, had been captured by human technology. Not just captured, studied, broken apart, understood. Where other young civilizations begged for help, humans had chosen patience. While the galaxy shouted, humanity recorded. While the galaxy argued, humanity learned. They had been students in silence, watching the galaxy as if it were an open book. Generations passed, and Earth remained quiet. Empires rose and fell, but the humans only watched, storing knowledge no one realized they had. They learned the strengths of each empire, but more importantly, they learned their weaknesses. They studied the energy fields of the Valari, the plasma weapons of the Rovari, the trade networks of the Zerani. All the secrets the galaxy revealed in arrogance, humans absorbed in silence. And they used that silence to prepare. Their scientists pushed further than any alien expected, combining stolen knowledge with their own inventions, creating weapons and engines no one could predict. Their generals trained not for small wars, but for something greater. Their fleets were hidden in the dark, away from prying eyes, until the time was right. The revelation spread like poison through the council. It meant that Earth had never been weak. It had been patient. It meant that every empire, without knowing it, had armed the humans by giving them information freely. What the galaxy thought was ignorance had actually been the greatest act of strategy in history. One council elder spoke words that chilled the chamber. They turned our voices into weapons. Every word we gave them, every signal we sent, became their strength. And now, their silence has ended. The galaxy was shaken, but there was something more frightening than even the battle or the fleet. The humans had spoken only briefly, and their words carried a deeper meaning. They did not say they wanted war. They did not say they wanted conquest. They only spoke of survival. Survival from what? That question became the new obsession. Some scholars believed the humans feared the galaxy itself. Others whispered of something darker, a hidden enemy beyond the stars. Whatever the truth was, the humans kept it to themselves. Their fleet pressed onward, ignoring attempts at negotiation, ignoring desperate signals from frightened worlds. They moved like a storm with a purpose, and the galaxy could only watch. On a distant station, a young cadet asked his teacher why the humans had never answered before. The teacher looked at the recording of Earth's armada and whispered, "Because answering makes you a target." They chose silence until they were ready. Now they are ready. In marketplaces and homes, the story became legend almost overnight. Parents told their children that Earth was not like other worlds. It was a world that watched and waited, a world that turned patience into power. The silent world had played the galaxy like a game, and now the final move was unfolding. But even as fear spread, curiosity burned just as strongly. If the humans had all this power, if they had learned so much in secret, then what was their final goal? Some hoped they would rise as protectors, guardians of the galaxy against some unknown enemy. Others feared they would become tyrants, crushing every empire beneath their black steel fleets. In the council, silence filled the chamber once more. Leaders who once shouted now sat pale and wordless. The secret of silence had been revealed, and it terrified them more than the battle itself, because they knew something the common people did not. A fleet this size, with this much power, did not rise overnight. It took centuries of effort, resources, and purpose. Humanity had not just prepared for defense. They had prepared for something else, something greater. And if they had chosen to remain quiet all this time, it was not because they were afraid of the galaxy. It was because they were afraid of what was coming beyond it. The galaxy was trembling. The story of Earth's silence and the truth behind it had spread to every corner of known space. No world, no empire, no colony was untouched by the whispers. In the halls of power, leaders argued endlessly, their voices sharp with fear. Some wanted alliances with humans, hoping to stand beside this new force rather than against it. Others wanted to build stronger weapons, believing humanity must be crushed before it grew even more unstoppable. And in the streets of ordinary worlds, people lived under the shadow of dread. Families looked up at the stars and wondered if the Black Steel Fleet would appear above their skies. Traders refused to travel near human space. Armies drilled harder than ever, but their commanders carried doubt in their eyes. Fear was no longer an emotion. It had become a law written into every star. Yet what terrified the galaxy most was not the battle already fought. It was the mystery of what was coming next. Humanity's fleet did not pause, did not conquer, did not raid. They marched forward with purpose, ignoring the Council's demands, ignoring pleas for peace, ignoring even threats of war. Their silence remained unbroken, except for those few chilling words, stand aside or fall. Scholars debated endlessly about the meaning of their path. The course of the human fleet was clear. They were heading deeper into the galaxy, toward regions uncharted and dangerous. Some said they were moving toward the galactic core itself, a place of radiation, black holes, and old ruins. Others claimed they were chasing something, an enemy the galaxy did not know existed. Theories spread like wildfire, each one more terrifying than the last. On one world, priests preached that the silent world carried a divine purpose, chosen by fate to rise against a darkness the rest of the galaxy could not see. On another, politicians swore humanity was planning a war of domination, and that soon every empire would kneel or burn. On the frontier colonies, people spoke more quietly, whispering that perhaps the humans were not preparing for the galaxy at all, but for something beyond it. The Council tried to keep order, but fear tore through their unity. Allies began to turn on each other, blaming rival species for failing to stop humanity earlier. Trade collapsed between old partners. Spies and assassins moved in the dark, trying to steal fragments of human technology from wreckage left behind in the failed battle. The galaxy was unraveling. Yet humanity itself remained calm. On Earth, life looked almost normal. Civilian transmissions showed busy streets, crowded markets, oceans filled with ships, cities glowing at night. No one could see the great factories hidden underground, or the shipyards in orbit where more vessels were being forged. The humans revealed nothing, but the silence only deepened the fear. What kind of people could build a fleet strong enough to defeat half the galaxy's forces and still walk their cities as if nothing had changed? On military outposts, soldiers whispered about the recordings of the human voice. There was no anger in it, no arrogance, only calm certainty. That was what frightened them most. It was not the voice of conquerors. It was the voice of survivors. One commander put it best when he said, "They are not fighting for pride. They are fighting for something we cannot see. And that makes them unstoppable." Across the stars, rebellions began to rise. Minor colonies declared independence, arguing that their empires were too weak to protect them against humanity. Pirates grew bold, thinking the galaxy's attention was too fixed on Earth to notice their raids. The balance of power was collapsing, and still the humans moved forward, silent and steady. The Council gathered once more, their voices shaking. Should they attack again? The last battle had been a disaster, but if they did nothing, the humans would reach their destination unchecked. Some suggested sending envoys with gifts, hoping to buy trust. Others warned that humans had no interest in friendship. Finally, one elder stood and spoke words that silenced the chamber. "You do not understand. This is not about us. This has never been about us. The humans are not coming for the galaxy. They are preparing for something else." His words echoed, heavy and dark, and no one could answer. Because deep inside, they all felt it was true. Humanity's silence had been patience, their strength had been preparation, and their fleet was not marching toward conquest. It was marching toward destiny. Fear filled the cosmos not only because of what the humans had done, but because of what they might be facing. If a world like Earth had stayed silent for centuries, if they had hidden their strength for so long, then whatever they were preparing for must be greater than anything the galaxy had ever known. And if that enemy was real, then the galaxy had only two choices: stand with humanity, or be swept away when the storm arrived. The human fleet pressed onward, black steel shadows gliding through the endless dark. Their engines burned like silent fire, leaving no doubt about their destination. The galaxy watched with dread as the course of the armada became clear. They were heading toward the edge of the galactic core, a place feared by every civilization. It was a region of dead stars and broken worlds, where ancient empires had once risen and vanished. No one ventured there willingly. It was a graveyard of history, filled with whispers of forgotten wars. The Council argued desperately, but their words meant nothing now. The humans did not stop, did not answer, did not explain. Their silence was unbroken, except for the steady march of their fleet. Fear became unbearable. On distant colonies, riots erupted. Citizens demanded their leaders reveal the truth. "What do the humans know that we do not?" they shouted. Priests claimed the silent world had uncovered an ancient prophecy. Soldiers whispered that the humans were going to awaken something terrible. Across the galaxy, hope and dread twisted together until no one could tell them apart. And then it happened. As the human fleet neared the core, their ships transmitted one final message, not to the Council, not to allies or enemies, but to the entire galaxy. Every world, every station, every colony heard the voice. It was calm, steady, unshaken. "We stayed silent because we had to. We listened because you would not. We prepared because none of you did. You thought the galaxy was safe. You thought your empires would last forever. You were wrong." The message played across 1,000 skies, carried by human technology into every ear. People froze where they stood, listening. The voice continued. "Something waits in the dark between galaxies. Something old, something endless. We have seen its shadow. We have heard its call. It is coming, and it will not stop. You spoke to each other for centuries, wasting time, while we stayed silent and learned. Now the storm is near, and only we are ready to face it." Gasps spread through the stars. The enemy was not the humans. The enemy was something greater, something beyond imagination. The Council demanded proof, but none was needed. Deep sensors in the outer rims had already begun detecting strange signals, echoes of movement from beyond the void. Fleets of unknown design stirred in the blackness beyond the galaxy's edge. The humans had known all along. They had prepared for this very moment. The human voice grew sharper. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness. Do not mistake our strength for conquest. We do not seek your worlds. We do not seek your rule. We seek survival. The question is simple: will you stand with us, or will you fall alone?" Silence followed, heavier than ever before. In the council chamber, no one spoke. For the first time, the galaxy understood the truth. Earth had not ignored the calls out of arrogance. They had stayed silent because they had seen further than anyone else. They had seen the shadow approaching, and they had known that words would not stop it. Only preparation would. Across the stars, people felt their fear shift. It was no longer fear of humanity. It was fear of what humanity had warned them about. An ancient threat, waiting in the void, now stirring awake. On Earth itself, the skies were calm, but the cities below knew their fleets were not built for war with neighbors. They were built for survival against the unthinkable. Children stared at the night sky, unaware that monsters older than their world were drawing near. Soldiers stood ready in silence, knowing the real battle had not yet begun. Humanity had finally spoken, and the truth shook the cosmos. The galaxy was left with no choice. They could fight humanity and die divided, or join them and face the darkness together. For the first time, the Council looked not at themselves but at the humans, and they realized the silent world had become the only voice that mattered. The revelation had come, and it was both terrifying and undeniable. Earth had never been the enemy. Earth had been the warning.